SourceFedNerd Movie Club. It's me, Jenny, aka ClassyLibrarian, and this week's movie was Carrie. And this was a really effective psychological horror for me. I call it psychological horror because even though there are moments of specific gore and there is some violence, for the most part it's following this character of Carrie and getting to know her psyche and trying to understand where she's coming from and seeing her push to the point that she gets to at the end. And I think a lot of the success of this film comes from the performance of Sissy Spelak. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but she does an amazing job. She really carries the character from the first moment where she's full-on panic mode and you're completely in the mindset of the other girls in the room where maybe you wouldn't be as cruel as they are, but you don't understand where she's coming from. You don't understand this immense amount of panic. And she does such a brilliant performance that you're rooting for her from the beginning. And then she slowly progresses and you see how downtrodden she is and how shy she is. And you see her relationship with her mother and you understand where that one's coming from. And the first time she smiles and the scene where she's in the prom and she's so happy. And she's not naive in some aspects. She does kind of know what's going on with people teasing her, but she eventually gets pushed into it and you're so happy for her because the nice people seem to be having a step up. They seem to be able to help her, and she seems so happy. The scene where the camera's spinning around and the stars are above, and when she's walking up to the king and queen chairs, it's just so beautiful and you're so happy for her. And I don't think I'm the only one that wanted the film to end at that point, with the last 26 minutes not happening. I would have happily ended the film at that point. Then the next scene where the way that she just portrays this character and her eyes and her posture changes, so it's got that classic Carrie silhouette with her in the dress and the posture. She just looks so inhuman and so just almost alien, almost feral looking, and you really feel like she's a different entity at that point. It's just so well done, and that carries on until the last sequence where, after what happens with her mum, she's curled up in the ball in the kitchen. And my heart just went out to her so much at that point because she just is such a traumatised little girl who's been through so much, and that really resonated for me. She's not really a villain. I mean, what she does at some points is kind of villainous, but for the most part I'd say she was a victim that has had circumstances happen to her, and I think the performance works so well. I think Piper Laurie, who also does a brilliant job as her mother, their dynamic between the two of them work brilliantly. I think it's so well done. The direction for this is very effective. There's a lot of very specific camera types of shots that they use. The split screen when she's having her moment is really effective because it really feels like she's a separate entity. It's two separate frames. You're getting twice as much information as you would normally get. It's very jarring. Puts you in the moment of her mind where she's not really a normal person at that point. It's something else that's happening. Also the slow motion when they're walking out, where you're so happy for it, but it's also building the tension because you know something's going to go wrong. So I really like that. The musical cues, for the most part, the music is quite good. It's very classic horror movie, sort of building up the moments, lots of screechy violins. There's a particular musical theme that comes in, which is just a screechy sound effect, the violin kind of chord that they use whenever she does any telekinetic things, which it's kind of, I can imagine, rather tedious for modern audiences, but it does help bring in that extra psychological aspect to this film where whenever you hear that, you know something's going to happen. It feels very specific and it does build the tension quite a lot as it goes through. Other things that I liked the fact that if it looks like I haven't had much sleep, it's because I didn't really sleep very well last night, because I didn't think this film affected me very much. It did affect me at some points, but I went to bed feeling that I'd be okay, and then I had unpleasant dreams. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that this film isn't about demonic possession or karma or evolution or whatever else makes up Carrie's power. It isn't about a hyperpowered teenager getting revenge. It's about the social aspect of teenage children and what they do to each other and what's the breaking point of a traumatized child. And it does have a lot of resonance for things like school shootings. It's the point when the character breaks, and it's slightly more effective for that because they add in these very specific scenes and very specific shots which are just so quintessential of secondary school life, where they've got the thing where the teacher's drilling these schoolgirls, and the moment the teachers walk past they stop doing press-ups, and that's straight out of every single school. The boys buying tuxedos, that's just a normal day-to-day life, and it roots the film in such a reality, so that even when it goes out into this crazy, psychological horror world, it's still very, very grounded. So it did affect me a lot more than I thought it would. I definitely recommend anyone who has been a victim of bullying in the past, watch this with a friend, don't watch it on your own. I think overall it's really, really well done. I love the performances, the direction's really good, the musical cues do get a bit jarring, but they work well. I like the overall themes. Boys who like nudity, the first sequence contains quite a lot of nudity, although be aware that it's not HBO nudity, this is 70s nudity, and that should give you a frame of mind for it. I'm looking forward in part to the remake starring Chloe Moretz, because I know Chloe Moretz is an extraordinary actress. I'm slightly nervous about whether or not she can hold a candle to this performance, because this was so well done, and I don't think there can be quite the same sort of level of comparison, but I'll be interested to see when it comes out on Netflix. And that's about it, really. I think I've covered everything. I'm sorry I've rambled on so much. Thank you for all your well wishes last week. I really enjoyed the wedding. It was an awesome time hanging out with my sisters and my various family members. And that's it, really. I'll see you guys next week.